YouTube, VidHead85. Can we talk for a moment? All right, thanks a lot. This is part 2 from Amendment 1, Minnesota marriage fight. From Amendment 1 to marriage equality. In July of 2011, Republican-controlled Minnesota legislature adjourned, or more like shut down. They ignored Governor Dayton's deadline to spend a month debating and having hearings on a budget. I don't know exactly where it fell in line as far as the stadium that was passed after the state. I don't know if it was before or after the state government reopened. But they passed Amendment 1 to the ballot, and instead of passing the budget, they went around the state to defend their vote. Governor Dayton did the same. He took his case to the people. 3 weeks after the government was shut down, it was finally a budget was adopted. This time, with Democrats completely under control, they moved to have hearings on marriage equality. A Republican on the Senate panel asked, pictured here, what's the difference between 2011 when he sat on the panel as the majority and 2013 when he sat on it as the minority party member? A Democrat answered, "We will not pass this before we pass a budget." Subtle smackdown, if you will. Then on March 12, 2013, we were blown away by the testimony of Lynn Osterman, Republican who served her only term in the legislature in 2002 when their DOMA statute came up. I have to show you why. There is no way to describe this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. I apologize for my voice this morning. I'm suffering a cold. I'm Lynn Osterman from New Hope, and I thank you sincerely for the opportunity to be part of this discussion. When I was a sophomore in college, I set the goal to serve in the Minnesota House of Representatives. And when I got here, thinking I was going to be a thoughtful citizen legislator, I was ill-prepared for the partisanship that greeted my class, the chair's class of 2002. I served as a Republican because of my interest in smaller government. And it was incredibly counterintuitive to me to then, upon my arrival, tell citizens how the government wanted them to live their lives. I didn't come to St. Paul to single out same-sex couples and their families, but in my only term as a member, I cast a politically expedient vote in favor of DOMA, and I have regretted that ever since. It was not my conscience or my own compass. My dad is a retired Presbyterian minister. In fact, he served the congregation that Reverend Chadwick now serves. I've heard lots of Bible-based sermons over the years, and never once did I hear that someone else's love was somehow lesser than the love between my parents of now 55 years. My husband of almost 26 years and I have established and demonstrated our decision-making priorities with our 2 children, stressing people are more important. It's never been well except for those people. Nothing in my life says it's okay to treat people differently than how I would want to be treated, fairly, respectfully, equally. And that's really what this conversation is about. Whether you believe in big government or small, do you believe in fair, respectful, equal? Is it ever okay to say, well, except for those people? I feel like I'm at the Oscars. I see the red sign. Lawmakers before us, you, all over this nation have had conversations about equality, respectability, and fairness. We've all taken our history classes and could come up with our own list of instances. What were the polls like for those issues? Was everyone ready when our elected officials took the reins and led our communities, state and nation, so those laws were changed? Voting no today, this session, might seem politically expedient. But I can tell you from experience that you will have to live knowing that a no vote is not fair, it's not respectful, and it's not equal. I blew my vote, and I'm imploring you, please get this right. Minnesota citizens just want you to lead.
Thank you.
In 2009, that same person was Senator Alisi of New York. Thankfully, he was able to get it right in 2011. Senator Dibble of the Minnesota Senate spearheaded the bill, handling the questions very ably, especially in regard to religious freedom aspects of the bill, reminding all that Minnesota human rights law is upheld by the bill and simply restates what the law is currently. Senator Limmer, pictured here, sat stewing after now being overridden on the panel, as well as this guy who said, "Keep your applause to yourselves," when Simon said his landmark quote, also complained about the bill passing out of committee. Next, it went to a full floor vote in May of all times, which is kind of symbolic because 2 years ago, Amendment 1 was the thing that everybody felt was confident of passing. So now it's to the floor vote. Senate passes the bill 75 to 59, or House, passes the bill by that margin. And the Senate passed the bill 37 to 30. Marriages were started as of August 1st, 2013. And there is a man whose name kept coming up, named Richard Carlbom. He was instrumental in helping to bring this about. But he, of course, didn't do it alone. The coalitions, the door knocking, conversations with everyday Minnesotans, focusing on turning it completely away from arguments that had failed in the past. That led Minnesota become or break a streak, a talking point for anti-equality folks, now moot in 4 states. And now Indiana actually currently has a session vote on House Joint Resolution 6, which would ban any and all recognition of gay couples in the state of Indiana. I believe that is because her wife was killed while they were in Indiana. She was in a civil union in Illinois, and they had to pay that wrongful death suit to her. So I believe that is a way to kind of make sure that they will never have to do that again. In all likelihood, they will probably pass the referendum, but the story of Minnesota can be repeated. With court challenges pending and proceeding in 21 states, the momentum will definitely continue, especially in light of the Windsor case. So, thank you for letting me talk to you. I'll see you later.